I'd like to thank all the other nominees for being more crap than I am. The Oscars! I just got back from an Oscar party. I have no idea how coherent this entire thing is even gonna be. So I'm gonna start with the big things right off the bat in case I've run out of steam halfway through filming this. This is what happens when I don't get enough sleep, which is kind of my life at this point. Anyway, so I went into the Oscars expecting to not be happy with the results. Because at this point, I've gotten pretty decent at guessing the results. I do an Oscar pool. I've only won once, but it's because most of the other people in the Oscar pool are really good. And I had a pretty decent showing this year. I won 15. I called 15 out of the categories. The person who won called 19. So, you know, it was a pretty close year. But the big thing is I was expecting 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri to win. I'll point out that my Oscar picks for this pool we have to get them in within 24 hours of the nominations going live, so that we have to call them long before the front runners become clear as things like the Globes and the SAG Awards and things like that go on. But that had been my pick to win the whole thing. And at the time, I didn't like that, but it felt like in my gut what was going to happen. And the closer we got to it, the more I was certain that it was going to happen, and the more I was certain I was going to hate it. Now, I have actually seen 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. It's not a bad movie by any stretch, but I didn't particularly like it. The performances were good. It was interesting, but didn't seem to actually know what it was doing, like in terms of having a point. There are segments and bits that are very good, but in a lot of ways, the idea of that winning Best Picture, it wouldn't have been a sin on the same level, but it would have rang some of the bells of, say, when Crash won Best Picture. Again, it's a much better movie than Crash is, but to make the comparison, what I'm saying is, 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri was an issues movie that kind of grazed against a lot of things like racism and discrimination and police ineffectualness and misplaced rage and all that, but didn't really make a stance or have a statement to say about any of them. Plus, it was all filtered through the much more digestible protagonist of a middle-class white woman. You know, it's funny how to hell with the police goes down a heck of a lot easier when that's the source. So in a year that, well, first of all, in a year that is the political climate that we're in right now, and also in a year that had movies like Get Out and like The Shape of Water, which, I mean, if you're gonna call that a political message film, it's allegorically so, but still a lot of people from a lot of oppressed and downtrodden groups strongly identify with that movie. So if 3 billboards had won in that environment, I would have been really upset. And I've been waiting for the Oscars to surprise me in a good way, and it hasn't for a while. Now, sometimes I don't know enough about what does actually win to feel like, oh, that was a pleasant surprise. Like, I didn't see Moonlight. I still haven't. So when last year's thing happened, well, but aside from the impact of what won, it was all that whole mess with the La La Land Moonlight thing. That was a whole other thing. But this year, I got my surprise, my pleasant surprise when Shape of Water took Best Picture. That made me very happy. I think part of me would have still preferred Get Out, because and Shape of Water was not on my best movies of 2017 list, but that was only because I didn't get to see it until 2018. That's the joy of friggin' limited releases that, you know, are put out and to make Oscar qualifications, you know, at the very end of December. But I liked Shape of Water a lot, and I think it's very well served to take this award. And I did think that Guillermo del Toro was going to get Best Director, so I was very happy with that as well. And he was so heartfelt in his speech. There were some really good speeches. Frances McDormand gave a really great speech. while I would have preferred Sally Hawkins to win, I think her work was more impressive. I was okay with Frances McDormand winning. She gave a very good performance in Three Billboards, and her speech was great. Her speech was epic. Jimmy Kimmel kind of summed it up best when he said, "I hope she gets an Emmy for that Oscar speech." Jimmy Kimmel actually did pretty well. There was really only one notably cringy bit, which was the whole taking celebrities to the movie theater across the street. That was kind of dumb and hackneyed, and that was when I went up to get more snacks, basically. But, I mean, other than that, he was fine. He did the job well enough. He was kind of inoffensive, which was basically what he was there to be. As far as the other major awards, I was really... while I would have liked some more recognition for Get Out and some of the other major characters, and I feel in some ways like Best Original Screenplay was kind of a consolation prize, and is also what I expected to happen to that movie. I'm still glad it at least got that, and Jordan Peele got to go up there and give a speech and have an Oscar. Jordan Peele has an Oscar for Get Out. That's awesome. I would have liked, like I said, for that to pick up some more awards than it did, but I'm glad he at least got that. I'm glad I got to see him up on that stage holding that Oscar, giving his thanks, because he was also one of the really heartfelt ones, so that went down really well. I'm gonna consult some notes while I try and think. Allison Janney also gave a great speech. I haven't seen I, Tonya, so I can't really call on that one, although I did call that she was gonna win. That's one of the funny things. I usually haven't seen more than maybe 3 or 4 of the major nominated films by the time the Oscars roll out in any given year, yet I still do pretty well in the Oscar pool because I know how Oscar politics tend to work. So I called that she was going to win, even though I haven't seen I, Tonya. Sam Rockwell winning. Look, I cannot explain this. I can't justify it. I can't quantify it. I just don't like Sam Rockwell. And he's not even a bad actor, but like there's something about him inherently I dislike. And I don't even mean like when he's playing characters I'm not supposed to like, which is more often than not. But I mean like I don't enjoy watching him. Like I can see people playing characters that are, you know, bad people who aren't good, but I still enjoy watching them. There's something about Sam Rockwell I just don't enjoy watching. And there's also the sort of weird underlying connotation of, you know, this horrible, openly racist guy cop who throws somebody out a window. He deserves a second chance. And I don't want to dig too much more into that, but I wasn't too thrilled with that win. Although, I called it. I did expect that, and that one did happen. As far as most of the other ones go, Coco, that was an easy call for animated feature. Nothing else was going to come close on that. So, I mean... How great would it have been, and when I say great, I mean awful, if Boss Baby had upset Coco. That would have been something. Phantom Thread, I thought was going to pick up a few things. I thought that was going to pick up picture. I thought it was going to pick up original score. It didn't on either of those. Gary Oldman taking Best Actor, which I didn't call. But wasn't surprised by when it happened. I haven't seen Darkest Hour, so I don't know how good his performance was. He looked pretty good in the trailers. He seemed slightly overly shouty for me, but that could have been the clips that they were using. So I'm sure he was fine. Gary Oldman is a very good actor. He generally is. Adapted screenplay, Call Me By Your Name. I called that. There was the technical... Oh, the other one that was like a big yes that I was very happy that I called was Blade Runner 2099 getting cinematography. Roger Deakins has been long overdue for an Oscar. So that was very nice to see him finally get that. Holy cow. And despite my own issues and reservations about that film, it is a gorgeous looking movie, as you expect from Roger Deakins. It's true of pretty much everything the man's ever filmed. And also the vibe of the night was was nice. I think the fear was something akin to the Golden Globes again, because what was awkward about the Golden Globes was, you know, you had all these women dressed in black really addressing head on in their speeches and their segments all the issues that have been going on lately in the wake of the hashtags Me Too, Time's Up, things like that. But about 95% of the men at the Golden Globes acted like it was business as usual, which was weird and kind of off-putting. That didn't happen. Like, everybody seemed to understand that this was a night to be supportive of everyone, even if you are part of a group that is not especially put upon at the moment. Everybody seemed to get on board with that, and there was not only a lot of women up there. There was a lot of non-whites getting a lot of recognition. Latin America countries had a really good showing this year, and there was a lot of recognition of people who are immigrants who were born outside this country, and it was nice. There was a decent balance of that. I'm sure there are some people out there who would call it overly preachy. I would say, well, yeah, maybe a little, but at the same time, what's the alternative? If the Oscars isn't going to be a little bit preachy, it's going to be self-congratulatory, and I would rather see them pushing for ideas that they think are worth pushing for, as opposed to patting themselves on the back, which that is just insufferable. So, yeah, it was a pretty good Oscars as far as these things go, both in terms of the show itself and in terms of the awards. So, yeah, I think that's about it. I don't have a bigger point that I'm getting to, because I really should have built up to Best Picture. I shouldn't have led with that, because then I could have built up to something. But Shape of Water, if I had seen Shape of Water in 2017, it absolutely would have been in my top 10. It probably would have taken number 2 slot behind Get Out. So while part of me will still always say Get Out was the best movie I saw made in 2017, seeing Shape of Water win Best Picture, I'm good with that. So that's the Oscars. That's my weird, rambly, I'm tired and really should be in bed right now video on them. Did you watch the Oscars? If not, I'm sure by now you've read the results. What are your thoughts on them? Whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. There's all the stuff to do. Like and subscribe and support me on Patreon and buy a t-shirt and follow me on Twitter, listen to my podcast. Links for everything that I just listed is down in the description. So until next time, this council is adjourned.